Okay, welcome back to Full Self-Driving Beta. This is 10.0.1. We believe this is probably the last version before 10.1, which is supposed to be the public release. So I just kind of want to show off 10.0.1 and remind you this is not autonomous, not something you can sit back and relax. You have to be fully engaged at all times. You are a safety observer. You are the last line of defense between the software and other road users. So be cautious, be careful, because it can and will make mistakes. So what I want to do is demonstrate the capabilities and limitations right now, so you can kind of prepare yourself if you do find yourself with Full Self-Drive Beta in the next few weeks. So right now we're on kind of the main road getting out of my area here. Here comes a fancy Ford GT from the right. Not sure I've ever seen one of those before in person. That is a crazy looking car that I don't want to crash into. Wow. Anyway, this road here, the car is almost never had luck doing this. This is incredible. That's the best this has ever done, essentially. All that traffic that you just saw, and it just got me out there with no interventions, did not tap the accelerator. That's new with 10.0.1. The previous version, 10.0, couldn't do it. Nothing prior could ever do it. It was always chaotic. So this is definitely an improvement. So that's good. However, there are still problems, so you really have to keep your hands on the wheel at all times, and be prepared for it to do something crazy. Just yesterday, I had it essentially make a crazy dive across traffic, where if I wouldn't have intervened, it very well could have led to an accident of some sort. So be very careful. Also, with this very weird-looking Ford GT car, if you ever see a car that's unusually shaped, I would be extra cautious, just because the training data might not have something so weird looking in its training data set. So if you see something very unusual, I would be extra cautious. A while back, I actually saw, I think it was someone else in our beta program. They had a pedestrian, where the car didn't identify them like you would hope. And my question to them was the person shaped strangely, which is kind of a funny way to phrase it. But yeah, the person, I can't remember, had an umbrella, or they were in a mobility scooter or something like that. So if anything's outside the normal, definitely be extra cautious, because that might not be included in their training data set. So anyway, we have this route up here. This is a fairly standard route that I use for a lot of my testing. I'm going to just let the camera roll, have it essentially uninterrupted, so you kind of know what to expect from the beta. Right now, I don't think you can see my hands, but my hands are definitely always on the wheel. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to block a bad input. So if the car does something that I don't want it to do, my hands are immediately available with friction on the wheel to prevent that bad input from happening. And likewise, if I have to provide some kind of like a correctionary steering input, I can do that if I think it's not going to make the proper turn. So far, so good for this drive. I'm really happy with how it got out on this main road. Like I said, that's a new development. It was great. And also last night I was driving on even a busier road that was 4 lanes, so 2 lanes each direction, with equally busy traffic, and I was astonished because it actually, it made it out, got on the road, essentially at the first reasonable opportunity. I think as a human, I could have been a little bit more aggressive, and maybe I could have gotten out in a different gap. But for Full Self-Drive Beta, I was extremely happy. It found the first reasonable opportunity, given its aggressiveness and whatever limitations there are inherent to the system. So I was extremely impressed last night, really on multiple occasions. There were several other occasions where it was very impressive. But I don't want to talk it up too much, because the main point of this video is to remind you that you have to be extremely cautious, extremely careful, be very vigilant and very observant, because what we don't want to have happen is have this get out into more and more hands and have people think that it's something that it's not, right? This is incredible, it's amazing, it's going to feel like your own personal private magic carpet at some times, but it's a magic carpet that can get you in trouble if you're not careful and if you're not watching. So that's the main focus, and what I really want to emphasize is that you have to be careful. If you want the privilege of experiencing this technology in your own personal car, you have to be willing to be responsible and intervene, be ready on the brake pedal. Okay, so here we have a right turn on red. It's clear, and there's green, and now we're going. Probably could have went a little bit sooner, right turn on red, but that's fine. We did have someone behind us, and actually, no, we didn't. I thought we did. So as you're driving, it's fun to see what it's capable of doing, but you can't let it get too far outside your comfort zone. I'm more comfortable letting it do things if it's being cautious and slow and just awkward, and potentially holding up other drivers. I'm more comfortable with that, obviously, than letting it do something very aggressive, like squeezing between, very tight spaces between two cars, shooting the gap between, stuff like that. In those situations, it's always going to be the best choice to hit the brake pedal, stop, get it out of that situation, and let it know that you're not comfortable with it. Just because it's potentially going to make it doesn't mean that's the safe thing to do. Other human drivers around you are going to be scared by it. So just because it can do something doesn't necessarily mean that you should allow it to, because that will provide training data that, hey, this is not right, and really it's going to scare other users. So I'm not sure if you can see on my video, because I have like a very old GoPro from, I'm not even sure, 2013 or something. So it's kind of hard to see, but there is a sharp turn coming up here. I've recently had more success with it than I have at any time in the past, but I do expect there to be troubles with it. There are railroad tracks, essentially right at the intersection. It's just kind of a difficult situation, especially if there's traffic. It wants to take some weird paths through the intersection, so we just need to be careful with it. And remember that intervening is the safest course of action over letting it do what it wants to sometimes. Because sometimes it might come up with a solution to the problem, but that solution is going to be sometimes not what a human would do or expect. If it's 6 o'clock in the morning, there's no traffic, you can kind of let it explore the space and do what it wants to. But when there's other traffic, you really have to allow it to, you have to intervene so it doesn't do weird things. So here's the intersection, a lot of lights. You don't want to stop on these railroad tracks either. So we need to stop prior to the railroad track, prior to the railroad track, prior to the railroad track. So there's intervention, just because I don't want to be on the railroad track. There's no trains that I see. There is a crossing arm that could potentially be a problem. Okay, I'm trying to drive back on. There's a rock there. It's pathing itself right now, and that's kind of okay. And that lady kind of was asking, what's going on here? Not great, as far as the path through there. Snapshot. The snapshot button, I don't know if that's going to be available in the public release. I think that might just be too much data for the team to process if there's tens of thousands of extra people smashing that button, So that might not be a feature of the public release, if I were to guess. If the early access program that I'm a part of continues to go on, I think we might keep that just so we can highlight some things. But I wouldn't expect that in wide release. Because my understanding is this 10.1 that comes out, I don't think that's going to be an invitation to early access. I think it's just going to be a limited public release, essentially, is my guess. There's a lot of speculation, and I don't have any information that anyone else doesn't have, so far so good. I have my follow distance set closer than I'm used to. I was playing around with that. I don't like following that closely for several reasons. One, for safety, because you have less of a braking distance, and two, you just can't see the line structure as far out ahead if you're following closely. So I'll push it back to 7, which is what I'm most comfortable with. I think that's the safest way to go. I think it's the safest way to go, but also I think 7 has some limitations that make it potentially a little bit more awkward in traffic, because it's always trying to kind of slow down to build space. And this is the problem with version 10.0 that I've noticed, is it tends to ride the center of the road if it's not clearly marked, instead of being justified off to the right. We have a marking now, so it's on the right side, but when the markings disappear, it kind of wants to go towards the center. Okay, so this will be a simple intersection up here. Another big, not problem, but annoyance with self-drive beta is the speed selection. Pretty much you're constantly going to be on this scroll wheel adjusting the speed, because it's either going to be going faster than you want or slower than you want. The speed limit doesn't match the actual driving conditions, so you're going to be on the speed wheel a lot, telling it what speed you want to go. And that's probably one of the biggest annoyances, is just how its speed selection's not great. I really wish they could use, I'm not sure, fleet data or something to select the speed instead of the database speed limits that are already in the nav database. Supposedly Tesla was doing that for on-ramps and off-ramps. They were using fleet data to determine the appropriate speed for an on-ramp and an off-ramp. That's been years ago, and I'm not sure if they're doing that for every road segment or not. But between the system not reading speed limit signs at random, like sometimes it just randomly won't read speed limit signs, or misreading them, or the database from the navigation database being incorrect, you're constantly fighting with the speed. That's kind of a big problem that I really haven't seen addressed or changed all the way from the beginning of the beta. Okay, give this guy some more space. There's a kid on the road. Remember, if there's kids or anything like that, be extra cautious. Okay, so this next green up here should be relatively easy. It's just a normal traffic light. The intersection after that, you may have seen in some of my previous videos from months ago. It's kind of interesting because it's blind and it's not square on. Okay, like right now we should be more off to the right. And there's a person on a bicycle coming down the street, which they're already displayed. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Okay, we're given space, which is good. Oh wow, she's got a two-stroke on there. That was good. It gave her space. I was pretty happy with that. Even though you really shouldn't ride a bike wrong way down the road. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do a left-hand turn across here. Our oncoming traffic is actually from an angle. I'm clearing, and it's clear. There's a car coming. Okay, very good. I like it. That's comfortable. Here's oncoming traffic. We're building some space. We're slowing down, and we're taking a left. So, all in all, I think that's a pretty representative FSD Beta drive. We had the issues at kind of that weird situation with the railroad tracks. Everything else worked pretty well though. So, that's a pretty typical self-drive beta drive, I would say. Nothing too challenging, but it did fail at probably the most challenging place on the drive. Let's go through some roundabouts now. I've noticed that I think roundabouts are kind of improved on this drive, or on this version compared to older versions. About 50% of the time, it will go through the roundabouts without stopping, and then about 50% of the time it will stop, which is an improvement from where it always stops. See, like right now I'm spinning my speed down because this is a very rough road. It's going to want to do 33, which is the speed limit that it thinks it is, plus a 10% offset. So I spun it down to 15, which this is about how fast I think I would drive if I were driving manually. It's just really rough. I know the newer Model S's and X's with like the Raven suspension package, they have all that telemetry where they can see what the suspension's doing. I really wish Tesla could or would use that. Okay, here we go. So oncoming traffic, come on, do something. There we go. Okay. Okay, it's doing its thing. It's tight. It's a little bit awkward. Like obviously I could have done that more gracefully if I were driving myself. I think I would have been a little bit further towards the right and maybe made the timing work a little bit differently. Okay, so we're turning right here. There is a car behind me. It's creeping very slowly. I did not intervene with the accelerator. The creep definitely needs work still. Sometimes it's too timid and sometimes it's too fast. So it's kind of a mixed bag on that as far as what it's going to do. But I did not intervene with the accelerator. Here's another four-way stop. I feel like if it's a four-way stop and if it sees the indication it's a four-way stop, it really should not have to creep so much. Like right now, it's not really creeping. There's no indication on the screen that it is. If it's a four-way stop that's labeled as four-way stop or all-way, whatever it says, I think it really should stop and then just kind of take kind of that assumption that the other traffic's going to stop. And if it happens to see some high-speed traffic that in its judgment is not going to stop, then maybe jab the brakes at that point. But really, it should just kind of commit to an always stop, kind of like most people do, I think. You still clear, but you kind of trust it. Okay, so here, cross traffic does not stop. There's a wall on the right. I'm not sure if you can see that. There's a truck there. And I hit the brake there because it was just being weird. Okay, let's flip this guy back around. So, not great there. But, like I said, just trying to give a realistic layout for what to expect from full self-driving beta. You have to be engaged. Any action point like that, you really have to expect it to kind of do, you know, the wrong thing and be prepared to intervene. That wasn't scary. I've been doing this since November 2020, and you know, I've seen a lot. Kind of know what to expect, but it's always different. Situations are always different. Each version's a little bit different, so you can never let your guard down. You really have to always expect it to do something kind of crazy. Hope this camera angle's halfway decent. Yeah, but other than being constantly vigilant, I am absolutely 100% convinced that the vast majority of people are going to absolutely love full self-drive beta. This is something that the team's been working on for a long time. I've been using it since November, and I would absolutely hate to lose access to this because it truly brings me, you know, kind of joy to my life. It's fun. It's incredible being this close to advanced technology. This is not a gimmick. It does work. It still makes mistakes, but ultimately, this is going to be a product that I think a lot of people are truly going to enjoy. And it's only going to get better as they keep improving the system. We're still seeing continuous improvements. Unprotected left turns have gotten much better in this version, like substantially better. So that's exciting. And really, you know, with every version, if they can just keep chipping away at errors and make it drive more comfortably and more naturally. If they release an update every 2 weeks and we just fix kind of one thing every 2 weeks, you know, eventually after a couple years, we're going to really be someplace. And that's been the promise for a long time. I think, you know, obviously it was promised a little bit longer ago than what we're seeing right now. But they're getting there. Okay, right now we have kind of an unusually long distance behind this van, which is fine. Doesn't bother me. Someone talking at someone. Not at us, I don't think. Green light. So in previous versions, and maybe I've seen this on a public build also, when the light would turn green, the car would actually start to creep forward even before the lead traffic was moving. And that was extremely human-like, and it felt magical when it was doing that. I haven't seen that recently. Normally it's waiting for the car, and there's some latency, so they're going to go like a half a second before we start to move, which isn't great. But previously I've seen it, others have seen it too, where the light would turn green and would start moving immediately, and then it was very natural, very comfortable, because you're kind of rolling already before the traffic in front of you starts going. I don't know if that's something that they can turn on in the future. I don't know. Okay, so we have some roundabouts coming up here in a little bit. We'll see how it does. My expectation is always pretty low, but I do think it's somewhat improved from, you know, the last video that I made, which has been a few months ago at this point. Another thing, don't expect full self-driving beta to be some kind of magical system that can have cat-like reflexes and get you out of some crazy situation. That's just not where it's at right now. If there's a weird situation with traffic coming from a certain direction, it's probably going to be an accident. It doesn't have any crazy, you know, algorithm that will get you out of danger. Okay, so there's no traffic right now. It's clear. We have a yield sign. I'm going to tap the accelerator this time just because we have traffic behind us. And again, because it was slowing down. Okay, the pathing through the roundabout is just fine, and that's pretty much always been the case. It normally paths just fine. And now on for the second roundabout here, we're gonna go straight through essentially. No one behind us, so I'll give it a little bit more time here to make up its mind. Very good. I'm not sure if that was on camera, but there was a van and it exited. So that was completely no intervention through that. The traffic interactions were natural. There's a car there, that was natural. We didn't jab the brake to slow down for him, so that was good. Getting in this turn lane too early, so I'm gonna intervene. Just because that's too early for that turn lane. There's no reason to be in that turn lane over this hill for that length of time. Yeah, this is about the right time to get in the turn lane, I would say. Okay, now for this unprotected left, here's where it's been a lot more magical. Pretty good. I'd probably go a little bit faster, but that was just fine. But the unprotected lefts are much, much improved. Speed limit says 30, but that's too fast. And then as we pass the sign, it goes back to 30. That's just too fast. 25 is fine for this. So I'm going to stop here. It looks like we can get out of here somehow. Where do I want to go next? Let's go downtown. Something like a random place like that. See, that's weird because I'm just gonna let it do its thing. It's kind of fast, clear. Okay. So right now there's no navigation. It might get screwed up here just because the nav writing is not great. If you want the best experience possible, excuse me, my throat's getting dry. If you want the best possible experience, you really need to do the navigation first. Make sure it's on the route. Okay, watch out for this man here. Okay, I'm going to... Okay, that was okay. Faster than I would have, for sure. Okay, looks like there's this circle, which is actually mapped, believe it or not. But there's a fence. There's a fence. We're gonna hit the fence. We're gonna hit the fence. We're gonna hit the fence. Okay, so snapshot. Believe it or not, that loop is actually on there, on the nav. But there's a fence up, so that's very interesting. An edge case, I snapshotted it. So that's a case for like full self-drive beta. In a situation like this, I'm comfortable letting it kind of do its thing and see what it's gonna do, but always intervene. You know, I knew ahead of time it's probably gonna have problems here. It threw up the red hands. I think it was going to stop, but I'm not sure because I hit the brake right away. So not scary, not dangerous. Just stuff to watch out for once you do get the full self-drive beta. It's stuff like that. I didn't feel like I was in pain. See, that wasn't great either. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm in danger. I don't feel like I'm endangering others. You just have to be careful and you have to be responsible. And that's unfortunately the big problem with widening the release, because how do you find drivers that are competent and capable of safely operating this and supervising it and intervening as appropriate? It's a challenge because there are people out there obviously who can do it, but selecting the individuals to help you test it is going to be difficult. They're going to use their insurance telemetry, which I think that's probably the best way to go about it. So we'll see how that turns out in the long run, but it is concerning. Because like I said, this system is totally controllable, totally safe. You can intervene 100%. Okay, here's a guy in front of us. He's waiting his turn. There's cars from the left. This is pretty good. There's a Jeep parked. Okay. We could have made that probably. My foot right now is touching the brake pedal. Okay, we could, oh shoot. See, now our nose is getting kind of far out there. The nose is shorter than you think it is though. Okay, we could probably go now. Perfect. Look at that, it shows the gap I would have taken. So this is, it's getting so much better. The car behind us probably had to slow their speed down a little bit because we didn't accelerate quite as fast as we should have, but that was great. It's getting so much better, and it's only gonna get better from here. Every time I praise it though, I pretty much just have to say, be careful, it will make mistakes, don't let it make mistakes that you're not comfortable with. Okay, roundabout, perfect, beautiful, incredible. We hit the brakes a little bit there, which is unnecessary. A little bit of a sharper turn there. But man, I can't wait for people to get this beta. It's just gonna blow people's minds. I know that's Elon's words and it's kind of hyperbole to some extent. Okay, I'm gonna tap the accelerator just so we're not holding up traffic behind us. I know the whole mind-blowing thing is definitely, you know, Elon's hyperbole and whatnot, but it's so true to some extent. I've been using this since November, so I'm very comfortable with it. I'm used to it. But for people who have never experienced this before, the first time they use it, it will blow their minds. Assuming it doesn't just immediately start screwing up. Assuming they have a decently good drive as their first few. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are extremely impressed. Just like anything, you get used to things, and I've been using it for long enough now that I'm used to it. It still amazes me a lot of times. Just that this technology exists, even though it's not perfect. Okay, so we're getting ourselves towards downtown. This should be a right turn here. Very, very nice. Even my wife has commented that it's getting a lot better. It's still not perfectly wife approved, you know, I mean, it's still a little bit rough, a little bit jerky sometimes, but she's actually commented that, hey, this is actually getting pretty good. It's not being so aggressive, it's not, you know, jostling us around so much. And she's commented like, wow, that was a really good turn, or it did this or that really well. So that's where it's really starting to make progress, is if, you know, someone who's not super into it can appreciate it for what it is. Okay, railroad tracks. This is about as fast as I would want to go. Okay, looks like we're going to have a left turn onto the main road with a traffic light up here. Currently there's no pothole avoidance, so I'll pretty much let it run over just about anything, manhole covers and all that. I think that's just not the type of thing that we're worried about solving right now. There's much more important things to worry about. Okay, so it's blind both directions, but we do have traffic control, so it shouldn't be a huge issue. And from here, we don't have a whole lot further to go. So green light, it looks to be clear. Very nice turn through that intersection. Okay, interesting. There's like a fair or something going on up here, so I'm going to cancel this real quick. I'm going to navigate to a different location. Okay, I think, okay, this will work, I think. Yeah, there's like a county fair or something going on. Okay, it's going to turn here, which is fine. Just so we don't have to interact with that. I know it's going to fail in a situation like that. It's not prepared to there it goes. I did not intervene there. It just took that long for it to decide what it wanted to do. Yeah, I know it's not really currently capable of dealing with construction. Once again, it's not a fully finished product, but it is getting to the point where I think it's borderline releasable. Once again, assuming that they're selecting the correct people who can have the appropriate level of respect for the dangers and understand the responsibilities to help make this product become a reality. So far, so good. Looking pretty intersection. There's quite a few cars actually. Okay, our turn. No delay, no creeping. That was great. Okay, this one's failed for me before, this particular location, because the road kind of juts right here. Okay, always stop. I've had it fail here before. And it didn't fail. It got pretty darn close to that curb. Could have used a little bit more turn towards the right side there. That guy totally blew that stop sign. Human drivers are terrible. Not a complete stop, but close enough for most people, I think. Okay, this guy's nosing out. We're taking a left here. Okay, here's that unprotected left behavior. Okay, we're going. I'm just gonna tap the accelerator there. That person waved us onto the window, which was weird. They were weird because we were weird. Okay, now what I'm going to do is cancel this, and what I want it to do is continue going straight, and then I'm going to navigate here, I think, once we get through the stop sign. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so once this is the way to go, I'm going to click on navigate. I had a video a few months ago about this very intersection here. It's an extremely difficult intersection, and of course we're going to have some traffic, which makes a lot of traffic. Okay, hold on to your butts. Okay, cool, very nice, very good. A little bit slower than it needs to be. Perfect. Okay, this guy got in front of us, so now we have no one behind us currently, which is good. We're basically going to stop here at the stop sign, and what we should do, I believe, is proceed up to where that maroon car is and hold behind them. I think that's the appropriate thing to do. Looks like it's thinking about it. Okay. Don't go on their left. Where's this person going? They're turning there. I'm kind of blocking the intersection, sort of. I'm going to tap the accelerator a few times just to move myself up a little bit. Okay, this is about what I think is probably appropriate. Sort of. We're still kind of blocking this intersection. I'm going to snapshot. I really don't necessarily think we should be here. Okay, now we're going. I'll tap the accelerator a little bit. Okay, and yeah, I mean, that was all around kind of messy. What I'm going to do is cancel that. I'm going to have it navigate. I'm watching. And I'm going to have it navigate back to where we just were. From a left turn right here. Okay. Oncoming traffic. A little bit hard on the brakes. We'll probably make this if it goes for it. Okay, kind of checking it out. Okay, we can make this one. There we go. So it starts rolling before the traffic even gets to us, which is amazing. Very much appreciated from all the testers. We've all noticed that and said this is really good. Okay, unprotected left here across moderate traffic. Okay, so the visibility definitely to the left is blocked. To the right, there's a dumpster. Okay, I can basically see from here without leaning forward. It kind of had to look through a chain link fence. That was good though. I think I'm just gonna kind of spin this loop a few times for you guys. Okay, it's a right turn here, followed by another right. Okay, we're in the clear. We're going to be clear the curb, it looks like. Very controlled, very comfortable. That was outstanding. And then left turn here. No traffic. Clear of all that traffic. Extremely good. Like, no problems at all. Mind blown, right? If people see that on their first drive, I mean, it's over. Mines are blown everywhere. That was incredible. So, but what I do want to do is force it through some difficult situations, because we're not here to play easy. Let's go here. Actually, let's see if we can go here. Okay, that's what I wanted. I'm gonna spin this down to like 15 or something, because 20 whatever is way too fast. Left turn, fine. So 90% chance we're gonna have a failure up here in about 15 seconds. Because I do this all the time, so I know where it's gonna fail. Most likely it's gonna wanna dive to the right, on the right side of this stop sign. So we're going too fast for one, but it's probably gonna go this way. Okay, it didn't. Things are improving every day. Okay, so this is a super awkward intersection. We're at a stop sign. I think what we can do is proceed up to where that maroon colored car was last time. I think that's probably the right course of action. The truck is kind of behind me. Okay, it's kind of proceeding sort of weird, awkwardly. Okay, I'm just gonna help it out here. Get it right here, snapshot, and then turn it back on. Okay, we're stopped, cool. Okay, so we need to go left, cross traffic here. This guy is going straight, so yep, that's the correct thing to do. We're kind of in the middle of the intersection, which I know some people do, I don't. But I think that's okay, except for how it didn't position itself up. That's a very difficult intersection. It's just, even humans, there's like 10 different ways you can solve that intersection. Like right now we're way too close to the center line here. That's not cool. And that's new behavior. It used to kind of drive in the middle, and then they fixed it so it was driving more on the correct side of the road, and now it's back to being in the middle, which is not good. Let's just go back. I hope you're enjoying the long format video, really kind of a real time showing what this is like, what it's capable of. I think that's valuable. Okay, this curb's a little bit hard to see here. It's clear both directions if we go. Okay, that's pretty much fine. It swung a little bit wider than really it should have. And I think a lot of new users are going to intervene when I wouldn't, just because I have a lot more experience. Like right now, we really need to be over here. Let that person know we're not playing chicken. Okay, yellow light, and we stop. Those lights are kind of hard to see. Okay, after this one, we'll get out of this situation here and go someplace different. I just really wish I could figure out this situation over here. I've probably sent 50 snapshots of this intersection from various locations over the past 10 months. Okay, there's green, a very difficult green to see. It was kind of one of those collimated beams. And very, very good. Maybe about 2 miles an hour faster than I would have gone. Slowing down here. Okay, don't hit the curb. Very good. So that was more aggressive than last time. It was a couple miles an hour faster than last time. Why? I don't know. I think they might still be kind of sweeping different parameters, trying to figure out where people intervene, what works, what doesn't work. That was a little bit faster than last time. And where to? Sure, let's go to this recycling center. That looks fairly easy. Once again, let's spin this thing down to a reasonable speed so we're not speed devils here. Good turn. It's going to take us through the same intersection, so we'll get us. Watch that squirrel. Watch that squirrel. Missed him. Okay, we'll take us through the same intersections, the same thing we saw last time. Like I said, 90% chance. I'm going to slow it down. It goes off to the right here. Nope, I guess they. Okay. Okay, we have a green light after the stop sign, so this is a little bit different setup. There's so many permutations of everything, right? This red truck is here. He is turning right. Okay, we have a green light, so proceed. No one behind us. Go for it. It's creeping. Okay, there's green. Perfect. Okay. Go for it. There we go. Yellow. Okay. That's about as good as you could hope for, I guess. It was slow, but it did the right thing. The biggest slowdown was the creeping behavior. That was correct. Everything it did there, I feel, was correct. It was just too slow. Okay, so let's see if we get in the correct lane here. Yep. Awkwardly. Okay, there's green. It was red. Now it's green. Now, really, it needs to be, yep, right about there. It's fine. Toilet on the side of the road. That's always good. Big box truck. And there's like a jink in the road right here, it looks like. That'll be interesting to see how that works out for us. Here in about a half mile or so, quarter mile. Okay, here's our left. Wonderful turn there. Up to 25 miles an hour, which is probably fine. Very comfortable distance from the parked cars. Okay, let me get this back on guidance mode. Okay, now it's going to creep. No one behind us, no one beside us. Really not moving at all. Now it's moving. It's creeping. Way too slow. A little wheel spin there. I don't know if that's worth snapshotting. Yeah, we'll let that one go. Okay, it's very competent through these situations, like these residential streets with parked cars. It's always been really good at that. Incredibly good, actually. It's probably the place that's the absolute best. Okay, so cross traffic does stop. Okay, this was fine. That was nothing. Beautiful. Yeah, residential streets, typically it does very well on residential. It's always been good, and it hasn't really changed much. It's been peculiar for a while. Like, it's always been very, very good at residential streets. Maybe it's because there's not so much in the way of lane markings, and it can kind of just do this kind of free-form path to get around stuff. Which is an interesting concept, because it can almost do a better job where it can just kind of do an organic style navigation around compared to the more structured layout. Okay, perfect left turn. And I can't wait for this to go out to wider release, especially on days like this where it's working great. Yesterday, it wasn't working so great, and I was kind of thinking to myself, like, you know, this is going to be super dangerous if it goes out. But then days like today, I'm like, you know what, it's actually pretty great. Left turn here. And it's been noted multiple times by the public beta testers that for some reason it seems like day one of the release, it's always like really sketchy. And then the next day, like, a lot of stuff kind of squares away and it gets better. There's a lot of theories. I think one of the theories is that they make it bad on purpose the first day, just to kind of keep your, like, set your expectations. Like, it might be really good, but they make it bad on purpose to kind of set your expectations. Like, hey guys, like, you still need to watch out, even though this is improved and better. Don't let your guard down. So they kind of scare us at first on day one, and then kind of open up the capabilities after that. That's one theory. I mean, it makes sense. I don't know if that's what's happening, but it kind of makes sense, you know, to kind of scare you on day one and then open up the capabilities from there. Yeah, these streets are so boring. There's just not much going on. Let's go to the jail. How about that? Pretty simple. When it comes down to it, if you're just driving from point A to point B to get around, the roads typically aren't that hard. We really kind of have to go out of our way to find interesting test cases where it fails. Most of your typical point A to point B drives aren't that difficult, really. And that's by, you know, design of the road system. There's always edge cases, though, and there's always things that can happen. But just going from point A to point B is not typically super difficult. Okay, so I don't see stop signs for the cross traffic, so I'm being cautious. The car is being cautious. It looks clear to the left and to the right. I would go if I were me, and the car goes. Definitely could have done that more a little bit quicker myself, but we'll take what we can get. Same setup here. Cross traffic does not stop. We have parked car, which will limit visibility to the right. The left I can see is clear. The right I can't just yet. The right's clear enough. I would go now. Okay, so what was that? 1.5 2-second delay from when I said I would probably go. Not bad. Okay, this is an all-way stop. So by seeing that all-way sign there, I would say we shouldn't even creep. We should just go. And we do. Okay, so, man, pretty good. Be cautious though. That's the whole point of this video. The whole point of this video is don't get confident. Don't give it too much leeway. Be cautious. Let your mind be blown when things are going well, but always be ready to take over. Okay, that was fine. Probably could have gone a little bit sooner. Traffic stops from all 4 ways there. Fine turn. Motorcycle users here. We'll keep clear of these guys. Looks good. Now I know these aren't the most difficult roads in the world, but this is where I live, and this is what we have, and that's what I'm testing. Okay, 4-way stop. The truck is blue. We're yielding to them. I would go now, start rolling. Okay, and the car went within less than a second of when I said I would start going. So that's good. Ooh, something just hit me. Must have been a acorn from a tree. Okay, nice little right turn here. We should be able to flow without really slowing down. We are slowing down a little bit. And the turn was a little bit aggressive. Fine though. It looks like straight through here we have green. The Jeep is heads down on their phone or whatever. Distracted driver. That was a 5-second delay. That's why we need self-driving. And they're driving over the yellow line. Where are they going? See, whenever I give self-drive a hard time, and then I see human drivers that drive like that, you know, I kind of realize that maybe the self-driving thing's not so bad after all. Because I see a lot of human drivers do a lot of really weird things. Okay, we have some cyclists who look like they're wanting to cross the road up here. We're stopped. It says it's creeping. It's pretty much wide clear both ways. I'll tap the accelerator because there's traffic coming behind me. These cyclists look like they're wanting to cross. Okay, we made it to the jail. Let's turn this off, and then here's our next challenge. I'm just going to go with no destination, and we'll see where it takes us here for 5 or 10 minutes. Generally speaking, it goes straight until it has no option, and then it goes right. That's typically what it does. So I don't want to let it go too far off the beaten path. Okay, really good there. Yep, so this is just kind of like I'm feeling lucky mode. Oh, let's turn in left, okay. So that's interesting. I would expect it, and we don't need to stop here. No traffic. We didn't need to stop. Okay, that's interesting. I was just saying normally it goes straight unless it can't, and then it goes right. We just made a random left, so who knows where this is going to take us. This is kind of interesting. Okay, car on the road. Perfect. I mean, we slowed down just right. As a human driver, I think I would have done the same thing. Here's the cop coming. If that driver in front of us were more aggressive, I think we wouldn't have had to have stopped, but they were a little bit slow, so we had to slow down a little bit at the end there. Okay, looks like we're creeping here for Viz. The B pillar should be able to see about now, and it goes slow but fine. Yeah, where's this thing taking us? If it's taking random lefts, I have no idea. It'd be so funny if they did have a mode where if there's no destination, it takes you to like interesting places. Okay, I would expect a right turn here. It's gonna be, I think, a T intersection essentially. Yep. I don't want to go left because there's construction. Okay, it looks like the noodle's taking us straight. Okay, be careful here so the cop doesn't. Okay, kind of wants to go straight, which is not going to work super great for us. I mean, we can go straight as long as we can start ourselves local traffic. Just kind of don't want to embarrass myself with this cop here. Okay, looks like it's almost our turn. And it's gonna go. It's going around it. Wow. And the cop just did that too. I hope I don't get pulled over. Restricted area. This is actually the police department, I think. Was I in a right turn only lane? I'm not sure. Oh, he doesn't seem too bothered by it. Not sure actually. It wasn't a right turn only lane. He doesn't seem too bothered by it, so. Okay, green. Let me look at the paint on the road here and figure out what was going on. Paint's super faded, so I really can't. He was in a straight and left. I think I was in a left or right only, I think. So that was my bad. I'm just kind of investigating the paint on the road here. It's super faded, so I couldn't expect the car to see it, let alone myself. So, yeah, I can't even. The paint is completely faded, obliterated, so. That's funny, that's actually the police department apparently. Okay, I'm driving manually real quick just to get out here. And then turn it back on. Whoops, didn't like that. I honestly thought I was in a straight through lane, which is why I let it go straight. And I was under the false assumption that he was turning left because I thought I had a straight or right turn lane. I thought he had a left turn only. That was my mental model of that intersection, which is why I allowed it to go straight. So the paint was extremely faded, and I honestly could barely make it out. Anyway, be careful. don't get pulled over. There's an obnoxious car. Anyway, I think we've been driving for almost an hour. I'm going to navigate back from where we started. And we'll see how it does the rest of the trip. Nice and slow, not in a hurry. Kind of double turn there, which is probably okay, I guess. Okay, the markings are extremely bad here. And we did a good job. I think we might have gone a little bit over where the center line was supposed to be. But without traffic, that was fine. With traffic, it would be to be determined. Stop sign. Four-way stops are always interesting to see how it behaves. So I would say we have right of way because we stopped first, and I'm going to tap the accelerator because I think we had right of way, even though that car was highlighted blue, which means the car thinks that they had right of way. But I disagreed, so I tapped the accelerator. Well, I think I'm going to stop the video there, and I wish everyone luck on getting full self-driving beta on their cars as soon as possible. Be safe. It can and will make mistakes. The car is not autonomous, all that. You're in full control, and you're responsible for it if anything happens. But it is a fun system with supervision. I think there are going to be many, many of you who get this soon and are going to absolutely, positively love it, because this is the future that we were all promised, and it's finally almost here. So keep with it. This is totally worth whatever you paid for it, assuming that you can afford it. It's incredible. It's incredible. It's an experience of a lifetime to live in this time where we can have this technology in your car. It's incredible. I don't like using the word mind-blowing, but when it works well, honestly, it pretty much is. Sometimes it screws up, and be careful. The worst part is when it does great, and then all of a sudden, at random, it just makes a stupid boneheaded mistake. Those are the ones you have to watch out for, because it can catch you off guard. But when it works great, it is amazing. Okay. See you on the next drive. Hopefully it's a public release.